Well, hello, hello. I am so excited to be here for another episode of a live recording at the Fit and Faith podcast. And our guest today, I am thrilled to introduce you to. I think one of the coolest things about being virtual with the podcast experience versus just our local community is that we get to bring people in from all over the world, so many different just starting points for their adventures, and now us coming into community and still staying in connectivity through that. And so Melody Durate is a dream coach, which I was just unpacking with a client yesterday, and she's like, what is that? And I'm like, I don't fully know. So I'm so excited for her to intro herself and kind of share a little bit of her backstory and tell us about her company, Just Start, which the website's amazing. So it's already linked in the show notes right now. So you guys have to go check it out while we're live and listen to everything and who Melody is. It's going to be a fun, energetic podcast, I have no doubt. So thanks for being here.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, when we connected, I was so excited because I love your messaging. I love everything that you put out into the world. And it's so awesome. Like you said, like, this whole quarantine period, I've been able to connect with so many different types of people because we've been more online than ever. And I was so excited when we connected, and I'm just so excited to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's so fun.
Yay.
So tell us about, like, how did you get started in this? And I'm sure it's one of those things that you're like, well, since birth, and you can start wherever you want. If you want to start since birth, let's do it. If there's like an aha moment where you're like, I have to do this, then you could do that too. Whatever feels right to you.
Oh my God. So, I mean, I'll just start like where it started.
Okay. I love it.
Which it's been a year since I started the business. I have been a coach now since June of 2019. So really it started, and I was telling you earlier before we got on here that I wasn't feeling that well. And it started because I have endometriosis, and every single month, are you familiar with endometriosis?
Briefly, a couple of people in my circle have been mentioning it lately. I know that it can have a limiting ability for you to get pregnant.
Yeah, there's a whole mess of different symptoms.
Yeah.
But one of them is a lot of pain. It's like extremely painful every single month when you are menstruating, and it's extremely painful. And then it is just like it mentally fogs you. So your like emotions and hormones are all out of whack, and really like you just become like a different person. It's kind of crazy. And so there's a bunch of different things that come from it. Like there's PMDD, which is like a mental, like just a mental state that you go into during this time when like your hormones are all out of whack.
Yeah.
And so every month I was working as a property manager, and I was actually running 2 commercial buildings. And I also managed 2 other ones. So a total of 4 commercial buildings that I was managing. I was working like 60 hours a week. And every month I was getting sicker and sicker, like just sick, and just like I would have to call out of work every single month. I would have to work from my bed. I would be crying. Like I'll never forget like one month I even called like the mental hotline because I like just had like all of these like thoughts that like I just didn't even know where they were coming from, and I didn't want to call anyone that I loved and like freak them out.
Sure.
So
that was kind of you in the midst of that. I don't know that was necessary, but I love that you did that, because a lot of people will choose that just not saying anything to anyone because of the same exact reason. So good on you for doing that.
Yeah, I was like, I need to talk to a professional because this is just crazy. Like I've never had these thoughts before. Turns out it was the birth control I was on that the gynecologist was like, I know. The health system is a whole other topic for a whole other story. But but long story short, I was just getting sick every month, and I was just praying and telling God, like, God, why is this happening? Like, how do I get out of this? And how do I now like stop this depression? Because I was in such a deep depression because every month I was calling out, I felt like I was not fulfilling my purpose. So I felt like I was just off alignment, which I was.
Yeah.
And so every month I was like just coming to the Lord, and I was like, why is like what is this? Like,
Yeah.
what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Like, how do I move forward? And so in that season, like I had to do a lot of like soul searching, and really it started of like January 2019, and then I didn't finally make the decision to quit until May of 2019.
Wow. Okay.
So it was like 5 months of
Yeah.
like me,
Wrestling
like, what
and
do I do? What do I
yeah.
do? Yeah. Yeah. So, funny enough, my boyfriend was like, Melody, you know, you have so many talents, so many skill sets. Like, you already have entrepreneurial skills,
Yeah.
because I do have a nonprofit, which is 5 years old.
Cool.
Um, yeah, I have a nonprofit that's 5 years old. It's called Changes Hours. And if you
Cool.
want, I can also send that to you.
Yeah, please do.
It's yeah, it's change is hours with an underscore at the end. And then it's changeshours.org online.
Okay.
And that nonprofit I've been running for 5 years. So I had a nonprofit, and then it was time to now decide what I was going to do with my, like, with the other time that I had to devote to making a profit
Yes.
and to bringing in income.
Yes, good.
So, so he had a sticker on like one of his like dressers, and it said "Just Start" on it. And I don't. It really just one night, like he's just like, you have to just start, like just start, Melody, like just start and start helping people like with their businesses, because people would naturally come to me and ask me for business advice. Like,
Yeah.
even while I was like working in the nonprofit, like I would find myself consulting different nonprofits,
Wow, that's
different business
amazing.
owners.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it kind of like just came together, because even when I was doing the property management, like all my tenants who were like running their businesses inside the building, they would call me too and be like, Melody, you know, one of my speakers just canceled for like this training that we're doing. Like, I think you'd be awesome. Can you please come and just jump in? And I would be like, what? Okay. Like, and I was
Sure.
just like, sure, yeah, sure. So I would go and do like these like random things like people would call me for, just to help them with their business and to help them promote or grow or organize or structure. I have a background with operations, with finances, with accounting, with marketing. Like I've always been in a position where I've been underneath the business owner
Hmm.
or working directly with a director. So I've always like been like in a situation where I'm like helping the longevity of the business and like the big picture of the business.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, honestly, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna just start, because it didn't, when I started looking for other jobs, it started to not feel right. Like I was like
Mm.
looking at these other jobs and like seeing the job description, seeing like what they were like gonna pay me for the stuff that they wanted me to do, and it just didn't feel right at
Yeah.
all. Like it felt
Yeah.
like you feel it, like you just
Hmm.
know that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
But then on the other hand, I was like, but the other option is so scary, and I have no
Yes.
idea what I gotta
Yes, the
do.
jumping in of that. I mean, especially when you do come from being in a position where there is a monthly income, and then you're like, okay, I'm about to just start, and just start being broke is what it feels like you're doing. And you're like, I don't want to just start that part of it. I want to help people, and I want to grow, and I want my business to thrive. But part of entrepreneurship is knowing that it ebbs and flows, and that's that launching point, like launch zone, there's no money coming in. And so that's the part that can be really hindering for people, because one, they need that monthly income, or two, there's just that huge fear factor of, okay, I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket, and then I'm never taking off of the launch pad. Right.
Yep.
So tell us
Yep.
about that. So you made the choice. You're like, all right, I'm going to just start. Tell us about like what happened next and what that leap of faith was like. Because clearly God was
So,
already gifting you like so many, like, hello, Melody, I'm here.
mhm,
I'm serving you this
mhm,
opportunity. I'm giving you this
mhm,
thing. Wake up. I think that's a huge part of like your whole concept of just starting.
mhm,
Like just like your day, right? The first thing that you have to do is you have to open your eyes. And so
mhm,
you had to open your eyes to what was right in front of you.
mhm. So, uh, Goodness, it makes me want to cry because this whole journey really has been surrounded and rooted in my faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that that's like what gave me the courage to just start. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I know that I need to focus like and really hone in on my faith. And I need to wait. And what you just said, like, I need to wake up every day and I need to go to God and I need
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that I'm in alignment every single waking moment of every day. Because if not, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know, like, because that's what happens too for everyone in the world. Like you, if you're not like conscious of what you're doing and you're just like moving through the day, like it's like an ocean, like it'll
It's
just take you. And
so
then you,
true. It's
yeah,
so true. So you have to be the one like, I'm going to shore. I'm going to shore. I'm going to
yes,
shore. And that treading of
yes,
water is in that direction. And that's where that alignment piece comes into play. I love that analogy. That's so good.
yes, yes. And I was like, I really do not want to find myself like 5 miles away from where I'm supposed to be going. Like, I do not want that to happen. And because I don't know exactly where I'm going, because I didn't. So when I first started, I didn't even want to take on the name coach. Like, I was like, I'm not a coach. There's a million coaches out there. Like, that's not who I am. Like, I'm a business development executive. Like,
Yes.
I do business development.
I love this.
And that's like, and that's my focus. You know, I'm not a coach. So like people would ask me like, "Oh, you're a coach?" No, no, I'm not a coach. I do business development.
So you're
So
like
I just
neglecting what it is that God was like, here you go. And you're like, that's cool. I only want this piece. I only want half of
yeah, I
what
was
the
like,
gift is.
no, yes. And I will say that something too that's always been something that I've had to overcome is just like my age. Like I again because I've always worked. So I started working when I was 16 and I became a manager of 18 employees at around 19.
Wow.
So yeah, so like at 19 years old, I already had like 18 employees, and I was like, and I always had this thing where I was like too young to be in a room.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a property manager, I was 23, so
Yeah.
I was like sitting with the lawyers and sitting with the accountants and sitting with like all of these investors and going to like these different functions, and I was like the youngest one in the room always. So I've always had something like I've always had to overcome the fact that I was like too young
Yeah.
and just like embrace my age and
That's
be
so
okay with it.
good.
Like now, yeah, and
That's
I
a
think
good
that
word
everyone
for,
kind like
yeah, that's such a good on time word for like women right now. And I think that we already are dealing like with the gender, right? Gentrification of women versus men. And you're like, hold on a second. Like, I also am only in my 20s. Why would somebody trust me versus trusting the person who's in their 50s? And I think that's what people need to realize is that one, we started earlier, right? We just started when we were 16 and you weren't just starting like serving tables. You were, starting with already having a team by 19. Like that's incredible. And now with MLMs and growing businesses that way. And it's not to say that people who are older don't have additional wisdom that we don't know yet. That for sure is also certain. But there's, I
yes,
think, an energy standpoint and a, what's the word I'm looking for? A trust factor in the fact that people our age are saying yes sooner, and the generation that's ahead of us is like, wait, how come they can do it? And why have I been living my life in this way for so long? And I want guts like that. I want that confidence. I want that ability. I want to live in that freedom. You see all these travel bloggers who are like living all over the world, and it's not hard. It's really feasible for all of us to do. It's just a matter of starting. And so I love that you speak that word. Age is like so different than what it used to be, and that confidence factor comes from Jesus himself. And he doesn't care how old you are. If you are submitting to him, if you're
yes,
releasing what it is that he's instilled in you, wisdom is a fruit of the spirit, right? It comes from him. So everything is
yes,
on a flow saying, let's open our eyes, let's stay awake to what he has in store for you, because that is where the clarity comes. That's where the confidence comes. So I love that it started with alignment, and then you had to walk through these essentially limiting beliefs in order for you to continue on the journey versus just starting since you already were there. So
yes.
good.
And it's so funny that you say that about being able to like tap into that wisdom because it is a fruit of the spirit. I actually tell people that all the time because that's something that I had to I had to really like put it into my heart and say, you know what, God made me. Like I didn't make me. Like melody, I'm not just melody. Like I am like something that God created. Like I literally have everything I need. And I think that you hear that so often, especially if you've grown up in the church and especially if like like you've grown up going to church, you've grown up going to Bible studies, like you already like you kind of hear that, but you don't really like it doesn't really sink in like what that means. Like that means that like you are not just who you are. Like you were created by the ultimate creator. So that means there is nothing imperfect about you. Like everything that you have, including your weaknesses, which again is like it seems so simple, but it's not because I didn't even understand it. I hated my weaknesses. I was like, I hate that I can't do this. Like I hate that I can't do this. Like I hate that I have to overcome this. But when I started to really like realize that like God created me with all of those things perfectly to be able to carry out the mission that he has for me, like I was like, oh, like this is on purpose.
Yes.
Like this is also so that now I can bring in other people. Like if I was perfect and I had no weaknesses and I could do everything myself, then I would.
Yeah.
But God doesn't want that. Like he wants us to work with other people. He wants us to bring in other people we're a body together.
Yes.
Like we're not meant to do things alone. So I love that you said all those things because again, like part of that alignment was every single day waking up and saying, okay, God, like, what is it that you want me to focus on today? Like, I'm going to make my plan. But again, because I'm not sure, I didn't even want to call myself a coach.
Yeah.
I'm just going to like wake up today and focus on today. And so every single day I would do that. I would wake up, I would work out because I knew I had to take care of myself. And I was like, you know what? Like at the very minimum, what I'm going to get from this time, like off from a job, like from having a job, quote unquote, is I'm going to focus on my health and I'm really going to like focus on that health and like get myself to a point where I'm healthy enough to not have to take off time.
Right. Well, especially because of the whole concept of the endometriosis component. So yeah, like I wasn't even thinking about that actually because I was so honed in on the entrepreneurial part. But yeah, so it was a part of like Catapult was this place of discomfort, like physically and mentally and spiritually, knowing that God, there's more for me than what you have. And why am I struggling with this? And so activating in that space of really focusing. And I talk about this, and I feel like as the podcast launched and I was talking about mind, body, soul, and spirit, like everywhere I look, those words are. And I'm really glad and I'm really thankful that God is again waking a lot of people up to this concept and this knowledge of you aren't just one entity. If your mental health is struggling, everything else is. If your physical health is struggling, everything else is. Because we, like Father, Son, Holy Spirit, are the Trinity. Like our body is all three of those things. And spirit, and knowing that equally it's kind of been twisted a bit in the sense of a worldly mindset, mind, body, and soul. Let's come into center with our energy and all these things. And I don't not agree with some of them because I think that there's more than I could possibly understand about energies and chakras and the way our systems work and all of that. So it's not to discredit that, but it's to know that ultimately it's coming into connection with God. Of all of those things could be operating in unison, but we just have to sit and rest in that place and also activate, which you started doing from the moment you were waking up. So you started, you woke up, you went to God, you started that plan, you went to the gym. Tell us how did it unfold?
So I took on a ton of clients because I was like, again, I'm not sure what I want to do here. Like all I know is that I can help businesses grow.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I was like, okay,
tell me what's a ton. So like, cause some people are in their launch zone and they're like, I can't even land one person. So what's a ton? Is ton 5 or is ton 50?
10.
10. Okay, that's a lot. So right out the gate, you had 10 people based on the conversations and the things that you had already established. God had established on your behalf without you really knowing is what happened. Okay. And so they were like literally paying clients.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Clients,
okay. So how did you
go and
you did that as a business development person, right? Not the dream coach yet. Okay. Keep going.
Not the coach.
Okay.
So I did that as a business development and I was charging super little. I think I was like charging like $300 a month per person because I was like, I don't know. Again, like it was just so many questions. I had no
Yeah.
idea. So
Yeah.
I'm like, what's a good number here?
Yeah.
3? I don't know. I was like 300. Like, let's start off like with a probation period, three
Yeah.
months. Like,
Cool.
let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Again, thankfully, because I do have so much experience in corporate, like, I mean, I wasn't, that naive to like contracts and all of that stuff. Like, I do have that background. So thankfully, I was able to
Cool. Start
come
out
up
with
with
that.
yeah,
Smart.
yeah, like start off with like a good like structure for what I didn't know what I was doing, but still, like there is still some kind of
They didn't
structure
know
there.
that, right? That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Well, I would tell them like I'm very transparent,
Yeah.
and any of my clients can tell you that I will like I will just like put everything on the table.
Yeah. That's
Um,
so good.
so I would tell them like, look, this is like what I can do. I can help you grow your business. I can help you create operational structures. I can help you with your marketing. I can help you basically structure your business so that way you every month are know what track you're going on, and we're gonna create like a plan for you quarter by quarter. So I knew somewhat of
Yeah,
what I
that's
wanted to
awesome.
do.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I have always done 1 year plans for myself, like for
Mm-hmm.
my business.
Mm-hmm.
For every business that I've worked in, even for the property management company, I would do like 1 year projections because
Yep.
that's what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
So I would do like yeah, like so I would do the 1 year projections, I would break it up by quarters. So I kind of tried to implement that with my clients, but now my clients are, boutiques
Mm-hmm.
and jewelry like companies
Yeah.
and weight loss drops and like all of like these like different like one-off types of companies. So that was definitely challenging, but it was so awesome. And I feel like I learned so much in those first 3 months. And then the next 3 months, I got bigger clients. So I finished with the smaller clients, and then I was able to land like 3 bigger clients, and now we're
Awesome.
gonna pay me $1,500 each a month.
Awesome.
So yeah, so I was like, okay, I made it. Like, now I'm bringing in $4,500 a month, on top of whatever other clients I have, because I would still do one off things
Right,
like
right,
with just
right.
like
Of
different
course, you got to
people.
help. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, exactly. So I was like, wow, like this is it. Like I made it. Like I'm making way more money than I was
Than what you
making
were.
before. Like
Sure. Amazing.
yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, this is it. But then, I just started to not feel good
Mm.
again,
Mm.
like not physically, but more like emotionally,
Mm.
because I was starting to get stressed out when I would
Yeah.
like speak to these people. And I was like seeing like there was some kind of disconnect there.
Like
And
feeling,
again,
wait,
when
just to
you
back up
are,
really quick, to feel like
yeah,
pressure based on your results for them, or what was that? What was that
yes,
emotion?
it Yes, it just felt like how I always felt before in other
Okay.
jobs. Like it
Okay.
felt like this wasn't really what I was supposed to be doing.
I see.
Like it
Okay.
just felt like,
Like
yeah, like
forced
it's like
almost
because I
and
wasn't
not
going
fun,
to.
not freedom.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Keep going. This
yes.
is what
Like I felt like I was
I
like,
declare like flow, right? Like, do you feel like you're in a
yes.
flow? Do you feel free in that? Mind, body, soul, spirit, like all of those parts of you should be operating on like a freedom. So we have people in the comments who are like, what? $1,500 a month? Tell me more. What happened? But this is the thing, right? Like there's a valuation exchange, right? So they're giving you money, you're giving them a service. However, alongside their money that they're giving you, you're also feeling a burden. You're feeling like out of sorts and
Hmm.
out of alignment. So this is where you have to
Yes.
weigh and you have to wake up and say, okay, God, thank you for the blessing. Thank you for getting me to the place of affirmation that I am doing what I'm supposed to do, but I still don't feel whole. I still don't feel free. What's next?
So, and again, I'm like, this is my business. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why do I feel like now I'm an employee again when like that's not like what I set out to do? Like, I tried to set to like break away from that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I had to struggle with that, and and again because the money was so great, and I'm like, woohoo,
Yeah.
making so much money. I felt like maybe like it was something else. Like so I'm like,
Mm.
okay, is it me? Like what is it that like I need to like overcome so I can feel more grateful, so I can feel more free.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I'll tell you, COVID,
Mm-hmm.
when yeah, it wasn't until March when I actually okay, so from let's say from September, so it was June, July, August. Yeah. So August I started like right at the end with those like three bigger clients.
Okay.
So from September to March,
Wow.
from September to March, it's 2 quarters. I was, I felt weird. Like it was still better than before, of
Yeah.
course, but it still was just not like my full purpose. And I actually went down the other end. I gained a bunch of weight, because I
Really?
was so stressed out.
Oh
Yeah, I
my
was so stressed.
goodness. Okay, this is
I
so good.
know.
I keep cheering. I love this. I mean, I hate it for you, but I love that you're sharing this because it's such a true entrepreneurial path. Like it's so real. So keep going.
So I gained a bunch of weight because I wasn't focusing on my health anymore. I still was praying every day and I still was doing like my spiritual soul work, but I wasn't like doing the physical aspect. I wasn't like working out. I stopped working out because like now like my hours increased because I have like these three big clients. Like there's a lot of pressure. I have to do a lot of things. And so in March, I actually got another client in the meantime who was one of my really good friends. And she came to me and she's like, Melody, I really want to do a healing retreat. Like, I want to do a healing retreat and I wanted to have yoga and I want to do meditation and all this stuff. So we did that project, like that one-off project, and it was just start. And then the retreat is called the Return Home, actually. And I can send that to you as
Yeah,
well.
that's awesome.
And so we did this retreat right before COVID hit for real. Like it was March 6th to 9th.
Oh,
And I think that
wow. Like the
yeah, I
14th or
think,
something. Yeah.
yes, yes, the world shut down the 14th.
Wow. Yeah, it's so
Um,
crazy.
yeah, so we did this retreat and we go on this retreat and it was the most magical retreat. Like I really like reconnected with God. Like I was able to like lay everything down on his feet, like through meditation, through yoga, like that like whole time, like I was just like releasing everything and I was like, okay, God, like I'm ready to walk in my purpose for real. Like I know there's something off here. I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know what to do, but I know there's something off and I know that there's something more you want me to do. Like I know I'm like almost there,
Yeah.
but like I'm not there yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So and so when we came back, I felt so much better and I was like, okay, you know what? Like I'm just gonna put my best foot forward with these clients and I'm gonna like, see them through and I know that God is gonna provide.
Yeah.
March 14th comes around
Yeah.
and the world shuts down and my clients call me and tell me, Melody, we can't afford to pay you anymore.
Right.
And we have to, furlough your services until September or until like a later date because we have no clue what's happening. And so I was like, wow, all right, here we go. I was like, okay.
Not the plan, God. Help me out here. Yes.
Well, it's funny because I kind of knew it was going to happen. Like
Yeah.
when everything started going down, because the main thing that I do is business development. It's create partnerships, go to events, like be part of the Chamber of Commerce for these clients. Like,
Yeah.
so all of these events are now not happening. Like
Wow.
all of this stuff's not happening. The world is not pushing forward new deals or new partnerships. Like the world's like in a standstill. So I was like, all right, God, now what do I do? So my boyfriend actually his family has 500 acres in Georgia. And so we decided to go quarantine there for a little bit because we couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
so
sure. And where are you? I didn't even ask where you're at. Where are you located?
I'm in Hollywood Beach, Florida.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
That gives me just a frame of mind on the map.
Yeah, so we're in Florida and then we drove the 7 hours to go to Georgia.
Okay.
And we stayed there for a month and a half.
Okay.
And in that month and a half, I like reconnected to God. Like again, every single day, I was like coming to God, meditating, starting my day off like with like that, just like, you know what, Lord, I'm gonna call on, like, you are the creator of this universe. Like you created this entire world. Like you are the ultimate billionaire. Like you have all the money that there is. Like I don't have to ever worry. So I'm gonna now look at my planner and I'm going to start writing stuff down and I'm going to trust that you're going to lead me and you're going to show me what it is that you want me to do because I know that you want me to make an impact. Like I know that like the value that I have to give to this world is to like really help people follow their dreams. And that was like my biggest thing. And like I kind of, it's funny because in my early material that I was making for Just Start, like I still had that tagline. like managing your dreams.
Oh,
Like
cool.
I still
Okay.
had that.
Okay.
Yeah, like it would still say like just start managing your dreams. Like that was still like a tagline, but I didn't really understand it myself. I was like, I mean,
It sounds
it
good.
sounds cool. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
like it sounds cool. And, you know, I really did, like, I would tell business owners, like, I want to help you make your dream business.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really like focused on like their dreams. Like, I was just focused on
The
like their dream
business.
business.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
good. It's good.
exactly. So, during COVID and I was doing all of this, I was like, you know what? I don't know how I'm gonna get clients right now because no one's spending money. But what I can do is I can offer free 1 hour consultations. So I did that. I like just felt it and I was like, you know what? There's nothing like I need to like continue pushing the wheel forward regardless if no money's coming in. And ultimately at that time, like money just didn't matter because there's like nobody was making money. Everybody was getting furloughed. Everybody was like losing all kinds of money. So I was like, you know what? Money doesn't matter. If the world didn't have money, like we would still have this earth to live on. We would
Yeah.
still have people. We would still have connections. We would still have all of this stuff. So I was like, okay, I don't need money right now. I still need to inspire and connect and motivate. And like, I still need to like fulfill that purpose because again, if there was no more money now in this entire world, we would still have like that purpose to like bring people together to make the
Yep.
world a better place.
Absolutely.
So I started doing the 1 hour consultations and oh my goodness, you have no idea. That was the most amazing thing I could have done. I made so many amazing connections. I was able to do so many, like meet so many different people. Like I had people from in the UK. I had people in Portugal. And I was like, oh my God, like I never even, like my mind was blown. I was just
Yeah.
like, I never even like considered that I could even like become international and like have
Yeah.
international clients. Like
So cool.
that was never even a dream. I know,
Yeah.
like it was never even
That's
like a
so
thought.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Like this is where
I
God like takes something that we give him just like that mustard seed of faith, right? And he just like blows our mind because his plan is so much more grandiose and yet we limit him all the time because we just put ourselves in this little corner and he's like, no, I don't want you in the corner. I have this whole building is yours, right? So I love that testimony. You have so many people in the comments saying that every day I was starting my day off with God was a money statement for me and that you're freeing them even just with the things that you're sharing about the struggling beliefs that you had during COVID of like, what am I going to do? How is this going to work? So just freeing people as you're continuing to talk. So just know that like this is so intentional and I just love that God plans things for such a time as this, right? And like beyond even my understanding of when this was going to be scheduled or my reaching out to you. You guys, when I reach out to people, like I literally I just feel something about their presence when I'm in their social media or on their website. And I just try to explore things that I think would help other people. And Melody does that literally every day. And another thing that drew me to her was her Just Start logo has a sunshine. And if you know me, my word is illuminate and illuminator. And like, I am all about some sunshine. So I was like, ooh, I like this logo. I want this sticker on my water bottle. I need a Just Start sticker. So it's so good. Like what you're sharing, that authenticity piece is like so my heart for this show. And people need to know that it's not all rainbows and butterflies, but then it is. Like there is a component of that where the rainbow shows up and God's promise is still what it is today, as it was yesterday, as it will be tomorrow. And that's the resting point for where we get to sit as kingdom entrepreneurs. It's about the people. It's about the community. It's about the connection. It's about that kingdom impact, regardless of money. Yes, money plays a role. Yes, we got people excited, like $1,500 a month per client. Let's do it. God wants you to have that wealth. He wants you to feel that richness, but it's not about the coin. Speaking of coins, we'll talk about that later offline because we know what's happening with coins, but it's not about the greed or the money or whatever you want to say. It's about the richness that comes alongside that. So you could have all the money and the money could be not the problem, yet you're still sitting unsatisfied and not living out the fullness of who he intended you to be and the fullness of his promise until you seek harder, until you go further and you give up less control and you submit more and say, God, I'm willing to release this money just for you to show me what it is that I'm missing. And that's exactly what you did. You were like, I'm just going to serve out of a heart of God, out of the heart of wanting to help. And that's so beautiful. So keep going. So you have all these people that you're connecting with worldwide, global impact, right? So cool. My heart too. So now what? So this was what, April-ish timeframe?
This was like April, yeah.
Okay.
So I did this for about a month. April, I was able to bring in, I think, probably like $1,000. But that's okay because we were able to call our credit card companies, call everybody, like, we can't pay, sorry. So it was okay. And I was like, wow, like, Lord, you have everything planned out so perfectly, like so perfect. Like I could never have imagined this or planned this, even if I tried. Like, this is just out of this world. So all of April, I'm like speaking to all these people. Like, my planner is booked for April, like literally like free consultation. Because now like people are referring me. They're like, Melody, oh my God, like this was amazing. Every single call was like this like huge thing. Like we would pray after the calls. Like it was like this like magic after magic after magical moment. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this is like worth more than any money that I could ever make. Like I want to wake up. Like I'm like ready to like wake up and get on these calls and like go for a run and like do all this stuff. And I like just felt so fulfilled that again, I was like, wow, this is what God wanted for me. Like this feeling, like this like freedom, like this like joy. Cause I just had so much joy every single day. Like even though all of this stuff was going around in the world and everyone was so depressed, oh my gosh, it was so
felt
funny.
that way. I felt like a crazy person. I was like, don't look at me because I'm smiling. It's so fun.
Yes. I was like so happy. And I would get on the call, I'm like, hi, how are you? And they're like, why are you so happy? Yeah, like what's happening? Like, what? Like, Melody, why are you? And I'm like, everything's amazing. Like, everything's perfect and on time. Like, this is exactly where you need to be. Like, you need to be thinking about these things right now. Like, God has you in this space because, like, He needs you to, like, really focus on, like, what you really want to do. What do you really want to do if money is not a factor? And they're like, what?
Well,
like,
it is a factor.
Money is a factor.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everyone says.
Money is a factor. I'm like, but if it wasn't, and if it's not, and right today, this month, it's not. So you can't say it is because it's not.
So good. That's so good.
Yeah. So as like the months going along, I'm like making all these connections, and I was like, one day I was meditating and I was praying. Like I pray first to kind of like release, and then I like meditate to kind of close out, like to listen,
to like receive.
You know,
yeah,
so,
that's
like,
really good.
Exactly.
That's so good.
Yeah. So like, I pray, I like release everything on my heart, like God this, God that, like this is what I need, this is what I want, and then I sit in silence and I receive. And so I really kept seeing the numbers 5-5, and I'm like 5-5. I was like, what are you trying to tell me? Like 5-5. I was like, do you want me to charge 5,500? Like 5,500? That sounds good. Like I like 5,500.
I'll take
like,
that.
Is that what I'm getting? And like. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what? And like, then I was like, no, that's way too much. Like, no one's gonna be able to afford that. Like, what do you mean 5-5? And so I'm like wrestling with these numbers, like writing it out. And then I saw like 5 people for $500. And I was like, what? I was like, $500? Like, no, my service is $1,500.
Right.
Like, this is not, like, I don't want to go back to now a smaller amount. Like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
And so and it was only thankfully because I feel like, again, I worked so much to be in alignment. I only wrestled with it for about a day. You know, like it wasn't like a week or anything. It was literally like an hour of me saying like, no, God, I don't want to. And then me like, all right, fine. Like, I trust you. Like, fine.
Sure.
$500.
Yep.
Fine. Yeah. So I was
good.
like, all right, I'm going to get 5 clients for $500, still $2,500. Still that's still like a salary, like it's still great. So even though it's a lot of work, I'm just gonna suck it up. I'm gonna do it, and I'm also going to trust that the people that you bring to me for this season and for that $500 are going to be people that really need this. So like in other situations would not be able to pay the $1,500 for coaching. Good. So I was like, I'm really, really going to trust that. And I'm going to like, you know, just open up my heart and like really like allow you to bring the people to me that you know need my help.
It's good.
So I did that and I got all 5 clients in a matter of a week. Literally, like all of them, and they all sent me the money like in a matter of a week. Like it was like boom, 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 so seamless, all came through, all was ready to go. And I was like, wow, all right, here we go. So then I all of a sudden now had 5 clients. And it's funny because I got a sixth client who I had pitched the $500 to.
Sure.
So this is not something, by the way, guys, that like I put on my social media. I
Mm.
wasn't like 5 clients for 500. I was not like marketing this because
Mm-hmm.
it was such a like, it was almost like a secret like that like God
Yeah.
told me.
Yeah, it's
So
really
like
cool.
yeah, like I only told the people that like I had spoken to, and I was like, hey, God really laid it on my heart to offer my service for $500. Like, I would never do this
Yeah.
if God didn't tell me to do this, but I
Yeah.
really feel that He put this on my heart. So I'm offering this to you. And like, when I would tell, like, I told the key people, and I told a total of seven
Oh, wow.
people.
Wow.
And so 5 people did it.
Yeah.
One person didn't do it, and then another person, she came back to me like 2 weeks later and was like, Melody, I really want to do it still, but I can't do the 1500s. You still have the 500. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
no, I only was doing five.
Yes, yes. You're like, no.
So yeah, I was like, I'm only doing five. And she's like, okay, well, I really need this. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, you know what, Lord? Fine. I'm just gonna do one more. That's it. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. And so so I actually did a total of 6 clients, but I will tell you that those 6 clients have opened so many doors. I can't like again worth so much more money than like the $500 that they gave me. Like
Yeah.
each one of the clients like have done like I've done all of these amazing projects. Actually, one of them is an acupuncturist,
Mm-hmm.
and she has a fertility clinic called Ova
Oh.
Health. Yeah, and so she's creating a collective of like practitioners for holistic healing. We have done so many things. Like she put me on a panel with 11 other practitioners from all over the state, and I was like for me that was like crazy because I'm not a doctor. Like
Yeah,
I'd
that's
never
so
studied
cool.
medicine,
Yeah.
and so now I have all these doctors reaching out to me. Like all of these doctors are like wanting to work with me because of this client. And I'm like, I never would have even thought I would be working with in the medical industry at all. Like
Yes.
what?
So
So
cool.
just so amazing again, like how when we like really listen and we don't doubt what we hear, because I could have been like, oh, I don't know what that is, like
That's a
five
good
five, like
word.
whatever. Like
Yeah,
I
that's
could
a
have just
good
like
word.
yeah, I could have just like ignored that and kept going, but I didn't. I saw it clearly in my meditation. I felt it on my heart, and I was like, God, what are you trying to tell me? And I didn't ignore it, like, because I'm like, you know what? And I know, and I encourage everyone that's listening today to really practice that,
Yeah.
because like God tests us. He does. Like He's like, are you gonna listen? Are you
Yeah.
gonna trust me? And the more that we do it, the more He trusts us with the next thing. All right, so now you trust me with that. Let me give you another little thing here, and let's see what you do with this.
It's
And
so
like that's like
true.
it's so true, because
Yeah,
He's like,
and
if I
that's
can't
that part
trust
of
you.
like just starting even in your relationship with the Lord, and starting to hear and starting to listen and starting to take the time to meditate and starting to take
Mhm,
the time to receive, because I think
mhm,
oftentimes in our prayer life, and I can be convicted of this as well based on what I have going on already in my plan, right? I'll practice my prayer. I will pray with God. I'll be talking to him like you were saying, like talking, and then like, okay, now I got to go into this meeting, and it's like, wait, when did I take the time to receive? And that's one of the most beautiful
mhm,
things about this podcast is every single time, because I'm so honed in and I'm so intentional on listening, because we don't get to do that a lot, is I get
mhm,
convicted every single time. And so far that has been my conviction point of just being like, you know what, Tamara, like you're right. There has to be more. And God knows when to talk to me. He knows it's 3 a.m. in the morning. And He knows that's when I'll hear Him and that's when I'll respond, because there's nothing else happening. And so you're hopefully for you, it doesn't happen at 3 a.m., but for me, it works. And I'm a morning person and I'm happy to get going. But it's just this matter of us realizing that just starting doesn't have to be all of the things at one time, like you did, like a jump in, let's do it. I want to do a whole transformation. It can be piece by piece, and then there becomes this emergence process that works, that's beautiful. So I love even, and I wanted to unpack this as well, because you said for the first time in this April transition, when you started taking on these 5 for 5 clients, you said the word coach. So is that when you
mhm.
started realizing, like, okay, I'm coaching now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Because I was on these like 1 hour calls,
Yeah,
and I'm coaching these people, and
yeah.
I'm literally like, unpacking all this stuff, and I'm like, come, like, we're gonna do this, and I'm like seeing myself like from like I was like
Yes.
seeing, what
Third
is it called when
party, like a outside
yeah,
looking in.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like I was just like, oh my goodness, I am a coach. Like, I am a coach. Okay, I'm a coach. And that's like really when I was like, okay, I'm a coach, but I'm not a business coach. Like, I like to go deeper. Like, I
Yeah.
like to like really like go
Yeah.
to like the heart and soul of the person, and like, why do you have this dream? Like, what is it that called you to this dream in the first place? And like, we're gonna unpack that first. And actually, on my website, you guys can find the sheet that I created. It's called Purpose and Dreams.
Awesome. I'll link
And
that.
yeah, and it's a sheet that I created, and that's the first sheet that I go over with my clients. Like, we go over
Nice.
like their full purpose and dream sheet. And that's like where we start. Like, that's like the beginning of like our coaching, is like we start with your purpose, we start like with your long-term vision, and we unpack all of that. And then from there, we create a 1-year plan for your goal, for your dream. And so, yes, in April is when I finally stepped into it, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to call myself a business coach, because I'm not going to go down this path again where I'm not a business coach. Like, I'm deeper than this. Like, I like to like really like go in, and I do bring faith into my conversations, and I do pray with my clients, and I have no issues with that. And I think that that's like my target audience. Like, I want to talk to people that are looking for something deeper, that they're looking for that fulfillment, that they're looking to have that in their business life. So I did talk to so many people who were business owners for 5 years. Some were just starting out. Some people have like had multiple businesses. And like every time I was able to bring the conversation back to like, what's your purpose? What is the dream that called you to do this in the first place? Was it just for money? Like, was it just for financial stability, or was it for something else?
Yeah.
Did you lose that along the way? Like, how can we bring that back in more now? Because this is a time. Like,
Yeah.
this is a time, like,
Yeah,
when the world's
absolutely.
at
Like
a
God gave us this
standstill.
pause,
Yeah.
yeah, to say,
Yes.
what do I want to do with the rest of my life? What do I want to do when life turns back into the busy, or back into the not normal? Like, what does that look like? And so I agree. I think COVID was
Yes.
such a time frame where I was praying over people for that time, where the people who were really stuck in the media or the sound, or even the craziness of the calm, if that makes sense, versus taking the calm as the gift that it was and activating in that. And I love that you use this term dream coach. And I was with a client just this week who was trying to unpack, like, what am I? What do I call myself? Am I a life coach? So she was like Googling all these coaches. And I was like, listen, like, create it up, make it up. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're connected to God and you know that your end goal is to help people find their purpose and live in freedom and get restoration and have healing, like, who cares what you're called? People want the transformation. They want what you have. They want to come to you in melody. Why are you so amped? I want that for me. I want that unlock. Share with me what that is. And so I'm grateful that you're stewarding very similar clientele. And guys, this is where powerful connection and collaboration and connection and community and all the things, linking arms with people who are like-hearted and like-minded and doing the same thing as you, but doing it with their perspective and their lens, because God gifts us that with intention. If I was the only person doing this, or I knew there was multiple people and I just never talked about them, I'm like, just me, hey, be mine. That's not the way this works. God needs an army, because there's an army out there trying to fight against us. And it's our job to like literally be and build that linked system. What is the Red Rover line, right? Like, I want to stand with Melody in the Red Rover line and say, come at us. We're going to take that one, that's yours. And they're going to come and link arms with us too. And enemy, what do you got for us now? And that's the root. That's the root of the God dream, is knowing that like we want to stand in freedom together, not solo, because solopreneurship is not real. That is a lie of the enemy to keep you stuck in the place of your dream. So here you are unlocking these doors for all these people during a time that God or the enemy wanted to lock and shut them in, right? And you're like, no, open the doors. This is the time to open the doors. Like, air out the dirty laundry, get out all the mess, go back to the root of what it is that you want to do. What is it, the root of this God dream? And I helped devise a course or specifically around that because I know the importance of it. And so I
Ooh.
love that there's like this just synergy between the two of us and our passions. And that's like all birth from God, all from listening to God, because my story doesn't
Mm-hmm.
look like yours. It doesn't sound like yours to the build up, but ultimately we're helping women like unlock that. So keep sharing what else has emerged. It's only now we're in May basically, so we only got a month left.
Yeah.
Did you have this website? Because I love your website. It's so pretty. Was that there before COVID?
No.
It's so pretty.
Yay, thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
So actually in April, again, I brought in the $1,000, right? And
Yep.
I was like, what am I gonna do with this $1,000? Because I don't have to pay my bills yet. And my boyfriend, thankfully, he has had his job for over 5 years. It's very stable. And he has been such a support for me. You have no idea. He has pushed me to always like continue down this path. And even my mom too was like, Melody, like this is a time for you to build your business, like do like see it through because I wish I did. Like
Mm.
I wish I didn't give like 20 years of my life to another company. And now I have to start doing my own thing at like 50 years old.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna be smart with this money. Like I want to do something. I want to invest back.
Mm-hmm.
So I invested in my website and I was like, I'm gonna create my website to really showcase like really what it is that I want to do. Like I am a dream coach and now I'm ready to step into that. I'm ready to like not be afraid of like that title or like even like the stigma that comes with it, like because it might
It's
sound
true.
silly to some people or
Mm-hmm.
like maybe it's too kiddish. Like those are like all limiting beliefs that I had because I come from like this executive world, corporate world. So I'm like, what? I had such a disconnect. I thought I had to
Yeah.
wear blazers every day and I thought I had to like be in like suits and like, I had to show up like as like this like, professional person. And professionalism is so funny because you can be professional and still be yourself. Like I could still wear
Yes.
jeans and be
Yes.
professional.
Yes. That's
So
such a good thing. I love that.
yes. So that's why I have like professional dream builder because I am professional. Like I do have professional skill sets, operationally, marketing, all this stuff, finance. But we're gonna talk deeper. Like this is not it. Like there's more to the pie. Like there's more to the cake that we're gonna talk
Yes,
about.
yes. This is
So
so good. See, this is I was like, I don't know what it means. Tell me more. This is so good. I love that.
yeah.
And I love that freedom that
Yes.
people can experience because people do have this understanding of like, here's the box and I have to stay in the box.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't. Like jump
Mm-hmm.
out of the box. It
Nope.
actually looks really silly when you look backwards and you look into the box. You're like, why did I do that every single day? Why do people wake up and do that every single day? It's so restricting. And it's not about a suit. I can rock a suit
Mm-hmm.
and it feels great, but I'm doing it out of fashion and out of passion and it's fun versus
Yes.
I have to put on a suit and tie. Like that's horrible. Why would you
Yes.
want to live your life like
Yes.
that? So I love that
Yes.
unlock. And it's like it seems and like just like you said, it could seem silly. But if you actually dive deeper into the why of that, it's the freedom that you feel when you get dressed that then leads you out the
Mm-hmm.
house with an energy and a love and a passion and an excitement for what your day is going to be. And we had a gal on
Mm-hmm.
just, I think last week she was live, Maria Swan. She was amazing. And she is a style expert and she does capsule wardrobe. She's a capsule wardrobe coach. And like she made that up.
Okay.
Like she didn't see other people doing it. She was just like, this is what I love and this is how I want to serve the world and I want to do it with the heart of Jesus and
Oh.
he blesses that. So listen, tune into the words that are imprinted on your heart. Tune in to the things that God says, the numbers, the people, the everything that comes into your frame and scope of mind. It's purposed if you're aligned to the Lord. So good. We're going to talk for 4 hours on this podcast. This is so good. We're like counting down the time here, and I need like all the goodness. What else? Keep going, Melody. Keep going.
So, so I made the investment for my website. I invested in my tripod, which I never had done. And I also made an investment into an MLM, which is Monet. I don't know if
Oh
you've ever
yeah,
heard of it.
yeah,
You heard of,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, so it's funny because I had been using the Monet products for a year and people had been trying to get me into the business and I was like, no, I don't want to do the business. Like I have my own business. I don't need another But during COVID, I was like, wow, like I do need multiple streams of income
Yep.
for real.
Yeah.
Like I can't just rely on my clients paying me. Like I need different things
Yep.
happening,
Yep.
that's gonna bring in income. So I that was like my focus. I was like, how can I bring in income in multiple streams? And so I created a webinar series with a friend, and it's called The Joyful Hustle, which again, the link's in my bio, in my Instagram. So if you want to look at it, it's awesome. You're gonna love it, honestly. It's a 2-hour webinar, and it's $20 actually, and it's
Cool.
coming up on July 24th. We're doing
Yay.
another round
Okay.
of it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and so we created the Joyful Hustle, and we did that 3 times in May, and it was a phenomenal, amazing, like so like just like God driven, and like the people that came like we just received so much from that webinar series. We created that. I started Monet, which with Monet, I like my intention was I'm just gonna make my money back. I want to invest in self-care products for myself. I want to take better care of my skin and my hair. I've always been like a Walgreens girl, which don't kill me and don't come after me, guys. Like, I'm sorry.
That's
But
awesome.
I really just like, yeah, like I just was never like a Sephora or
Yeah.
Ulta person.
Sure.
Like, I felt like it was like overwhelming
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
for me, it was a huge investment to like buy like good products,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it can be
but
sticker price. You're
again,
like, oh my gosh, it's how much? I'm not paying that. But
yeah,
then you see the outcome of
yeah.
it, and it's, yeah.
Oh my God, my hair is beautiful. Like this is
Yes.
my natural hair. It's so long. My
Yeah.
skin, no makeup, like just clear,
So
beautiful.
beautiful.
So I know. And then I also found that through Monet, I can now coach people more. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like now I'm coaching people more of how to like overcome their mindset and how
So
to,
cool.
just put themselves out there and like how to make connections and how to not be salesy, but like make sales.
Yeah.
Like how
Yeah.
to, people always come to me, they're like, how do you make sales and not be salesy and not be pushy? And so like I started coaching it more, like now through Monet, now through this webinar series, now like coaching, like the word coach is just everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't escape this.
That's so awesome.
So and that really brings me now to today. Like today again, like I can't even believe it. Like sometimes I have to like pinch myself for real because I can't believe that I get to wake up and really just do what I love. Like even today, I didn't really feel well, like I told you, because it is that coming around that time of the month, and I still like have some off months. But today I didn't feel good. But guess what? Like I was like, I'm so excited. Like I get to be on a podcast. Like I'm gonna get to have like such a great conversation. Like where before again I would call out or I would reschedule or I would like, and that happens to people when you don't feel good. It's hard to like bring your best energy.
Totally.
But here I am, like
all the energy.
from my heart. You wouldn't even know that I don't feel good, and I'm gonna lay down right after this.
Yes, and you should, as you should. It's so good. I just think there's so much wealth to that. There's so much power to that. There's so much, again, back to that word freedom. There's so much freedom in that, is to know that you can lean on him in that strength, for that energy, because you're plugged into the source, right? And it's not by you that you're able to surpass, because if in our own flesh, we would stay in bed. So
exactly. Good. And so, and that's what I want to help people tap into, because I have never had to do a sick day ever. Like I've never had to like reschedule something. Like everything that I schedule, like I'm able to see through because I'm excited. I'm like ready for it. I'm like, can't wait to do this. Like nothing feels like it's like a chore. Everything feels like even if it's challenging, it's like a challenge. Like it's like, yes, I gotta rise to the occasion. It's not like this is like a chore. I don't really want to do this. And now I challenge people when they act like that. Like, where is that coming from? Like why do you have this disconnect with what you're doing? Because ultimately your work should be coming from your heart. And if it is, that's when you find wealth and success, like you said.
Yeah.
When what you do every day and what you create every day is coming from your heart and coming from source and coming from like who you really are as a person, everything just flows and everything just comes in, and you're able to like release those worries more.
Yeah.
So definitely, I mean, with COVID, like there's still some financial struggles, and I will tell you, like, this is a great testimony, is last month I had to make $1,600 for rent, and I didn't have it. And I didn't have it but you know what? I was like, God, like you haven't failed me like ever. So you're not gonna fail me now. Like I'm not gonna allow myself to like wallow and like be in this like state of like worry and depression when like I know you're not gonna fail me, even if I don't know where the money's coming from. And guess what? 2 days before rent was due, I had $1,600 in my account.
Come on.
Like just there, like just there.
Yes,
And
come on.
I was like, thank you, Lord. And I was able to praise him. And like, I praised him even before the money was there. Cause I'm like, I know that you're going to bring the money. Like, I know that I'm never going to be in need. I know that I'm never going to have to worry. Like every single day, I'm going to have exactly the amount of money that I need in my account for the things that I need to do for that day. Like I never have to worry. I never have to like think about where it's going to come. All I have to do is continue walking in alignment and continue working every day towards like the purpose and passion and dream that you've given me.
That's so good.
So that's where I am today. And now I have a team of 8 people on Monet. So it's amazing. So I have 8 girls who are all working on their business and who are all recruiting other people and who are all like on the self-care journey. I have over 10 clients.
Double that, Lord. So good.
And I'm still signing on more people. And now I've created a system to where it's still the $1,500, but it's over a course of either 3 months or 6 months.
Okay.
And that's for the remainder of this year. And I'll adjust depending what happens in 2021.
Yeah.
And so it's just, again, like every day, like waking up and like seeing like what you're doing, like bringing the things that you worry about to the Lord and like pushing the wheel forward. Like I never let a day go by that I don't like push like something. Like I'm like gonna push something. I'm gonna, even if it's just talking to one person, I'm gonna talk to one person today. Like I'm gonna talk to, well, for me, I'm definitely an overachiever. So for me, I'm like, I talk to like 5 to 7 people a day, but
that's okay. Let's be realistic for people. One works. But 5 to 7 rocks.
A little.
Yeah, for sure. It's so funny. You say move the wheel, or you were saying like push the wheel. So mine is move the needle. So it's like you're pushing that, and it's going to gain momentum, right? And it's going to start moving on its own. Yes. Mine's moves the needle, and I don't think if you stop moving the needle, it probably stops. So that might not be the same analogy, but I just love that, like. We as entrepreneurs, we as people, as humans, even connected to the Lord, you can use these analogies and these one-off lines that can create motivation for you, and it can create motivation for others. And that motivation leads to momentum, which leads to that overflow. And that's where not only are you fulfilled, but you're operating out of a place that you're so filled that you can just naturally, it just flows out of your cup, right? And that is what I pray, that every person can come into the knowing that they know that God is the provider of that living water that allows us to overflow if we are tapped into him, if we're utilizing him as our resource. And just like you said, like I'm totally think about that all the time now, that like God's the ultimate billionaire. And you have on your website, I want to help 1 million people become millionaires, right? And I was like, yes.
No.
I want
to be a millionaire by helping 1 million people.
Yes, that's so cool. It's so cool. And that's the thing, like I get this valuation experience all the time with my coaching clients where they're limited by their desire. And they feel like I only need this amount. And it's like, again, at that point, it's I want to replace my current income, and then I'll make the jump, right? That just starting. I'll start when I'm safe. I'll start when it's comfortable. I'll start when God gives like the provision already. And just like you recently said, just a couple minutes ago, you said, I prayed before it was there. You started before it was there. But ultimately, you relied on his promise that it was coming. And that is ultimately the Bible. That's literally front to back, like the promise of us, our existence, the promise of our freedom, the promise of our going to heaven. It exists. And he doesn't want us to just like show up to heaven starved and depraved and hungry. He wants us to experience it as it is in heaven on earth. just like the nightly prayer, right? And so I am just amazed by you, Melody. I love your story. I love everything and how you're serving people. And I just continue to pray that like God would continue to operate on overflow for you, and that people who are listening today just feel incredibly inspired and moved and all the things. And it looks like you're frozen and it's the end. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing or a Jesus thing or a connection thing. But regardless, for everyone who is listening today, Melody, you're a rock star, and I know that today blessed so many people just in the comments alone. Thank you for everyone who is tuning in and chiming in and commenting, and you will see the full episode come out in a couple of weeks if you want to play it back or listen. And Melody, we wish you nothing but the best. And I just pray that God continues to bless you and the clients that you work with. And I'm so excited to be in community with you. So let's link arms. Red Rover, who are we calling over today? Come on. Bye.